Welcome to video number 17 of the Blue Book on Signals Part 2. We have already learned how to use the signal C. However, as you can see from this graph, there are many different types of signals that can be used. You'll notice that each signal has its own purpose. For example, giving support, background, comparison, or contradiction. In this video, we are going to learn about just a few of these introductory signals. See also, CEG, and but C. For review, a signal is a shorthand message telling the reader the type of support the cited authority provides. It shows the relationship between the text and the citation. Signals must either be italicized or underlined. Signals are capitalized when used to begin a citation sentence, but lowercase when used to begin a citation clause. Blue Book Rule 1.2 lists out each signal, explains what each signal means, and gives further guidance on how to use each one. You should always check Rule 1.2 when using signals. Let's look at a new signal, See Also. Use See Also when authority you cite would be additional material that supports the proposition stated in the sentence. See Also is most commonly used when authorities stating or directly supporting your proposition have already been cited. The use of a parenthetical to explain the source's relevance is strongly encouraged. Take a look at this example. Here, the writer first quotes an Eighth Circuit case about when collateral estoppel applies. The writer then uses a See Also signal to cite to a federal statute that also addresses the same subject. Notice how the writer uses an explanatory parenthetical to make it clear how the statute supported the proposition in the sentence. Notice that See Also is separated from the other citation by a semicolon. The reason for this is that you do not need to start a new citation sentence if you are using a signal of the same basic type. Here, No Signal and See Also are both supportive types of signals. Let's do one more See Also example. Here the writer is making a point that it is difficult to establish a hostile environment in the Eighth Circuit. The writer provides a case example using Duncan versus General Motors, and then provides a full citation to Duncan. After Duncan, the writer refers to another Eighth Circuit case, Tuggle versus Mangan, using a See Also signal and an explanatory parenthetical to explain the relevance of Tuggle to the point the writer is making. Another signal that is used is CEG. EG can be used alone or attached to another signal. The most common use is CEG. Use CEG when the authority supports the proposition, and although other authorities also support the proposition, citation to all of them would not be helpful or necessary. The comma after C is italicized or underlined, but the comma after EG is not. Take a look at this example. Both of the Washington Revised Code provisions support the proposition in the sentence, but an entire list of the restrictions would not be necessary. Again, multiple citations are helpful and give the reader a sample of the restrictions supporting the sentence. Let's look at one more CEG example. Until 2010, the Fourth Circuit held that a plaintiff does not have a constitutional claim for excessive force if the plaintiff's injury is only de minimis. There is a CEG to Norman versus Taylor. Again, the citation supports the proposition in the sentence, and although multiple cases state the same thing, listing just a citation to Norman is sufficient. Finally, another signal that you may find useful is but C. But C is the corollary to C. Where C would be used for clear support of a proposition, but C is used to show the authority clearly supports a proposition that is contrary to the main proposition. Generally, it is best to include a parenthetical explaining the contradictory authority. Let's look at an example. The writer first makes it a point that physical activity like gymnastics can be both a school class and a practice. The writer then cites to the Foster case as an example of an authority that agrees with this proposition. The writer then includes a but see signal and then a citation to the Lawrence case, explaining to the reader that Lawrence supports a proposition contrary to that in Foster. Notice here that the writer started a new citation sentence and capitalized but see. This is because the first citation to Foster uses a CEG, a supportive signal. The signal but see that precedes Lawrence is a different type of signal. It's one that shows contradiction. Because CEG and but see are different types of signals, they are not part of the same citation sentence. To end, let's look at one more example that demonstrates how multiple signals work together. The writer's point is that adjacent buildings and garages are part of the home's curtilage and therefore protected by the Fourth Amendment. The writer cites directly to State v. Wellner using no signal. Then the writer includes a see also signal and a cite to State v. Vickers, an additional case that supports the writer's point. Finally, the writer includes a but see signal and a citation to U.S. v. Girard, a case that supports a proposition contrary to the earlier cases. This concludes Bluebook video number 17.